right, so back in September of last year, here in the state of Michigan, we had a pretty terrible and gruesome incident, right? Out in Warren County, which is about, I don't know, 30 minutes or 40 minutes from where I live now. But out in Warren County, we had a police officer, it was actually two police officers, and they were driving at night, and they were speeding down the street, driving at an excess of 115 miles per hour. And they were driving down the street, flying, no flashers on, no sirens, no police lights, which I believe they ended up lying about later on. But anyway, they were speeding down the street. They weren't responding to a call. They weren't chasing anyone. They were not running to an active investigation scene or anything of the sort. They ended up smashing into a white Durango. Inside of that white Durango were two men, two friends that had hung out for years, that had been best friends for years. These two men were both killed. The police officer sustained some injuries, but he lives. He's fine. He's walking around with his body, all of his limbs, fully intact. The two people he hit, he destroyed two different families. It was a gruesome, gruesome, gruesome accident. And we're going to show exactly what happened. And the reason I'm bringing this up now is because the attorney for this family, who has sued the city, has now come forward and shown us the actual footage. We have there's three different angles that we actually have video footage of. We have one angle which was taken from I believe it was almost like an alleyway camera that caught this incident, that caught the collision on camera from the street, from an alley angle. Then we have another angle from a gas station that shows just how badly the police car was speeding down the street, almost hit another car. Had he been, 20 seconds sooner, he would have smashed into another car. But it shows that angle from the gas station, shows him speeding down the street. Again, no sirens, no nothing. Okay, that's important. And then we have the dash cam footage from the actual police patrol vehicle. And that is mortifying. So I wanted to issue and say viewer discretion is advised. If you are queasy to certain things happening, to accidents and things of that sort, you might not want to watch this. But I just want to show two news articles before we get into the video and show the actual crash.
Warren police say that a police officer is charged with manslaughter after a crash that killed two men in September. An attorney representing the victims' families says more needs to be done. CBS News Detroit's Heath Kalb has more.
28-year-old Warren police officer James Burke was charged Friday afternoon with 2 counts of manslaughter, 1 count of a moving violation causing serious injury, and 1 count of willful neglect of duty for his part in this deadly crash in September that resulted in the death of 34-year-old Cedric Hayden Jr. and 33-year-old Dewan Pettis. Macomb County Sheriff Anthony Wickersham said in a statement, quote, "We hope the conclusion of this investigation begins to bring a sense of closure and healing as they continue to navigate this difficult time." But when I spoke to James Harrington, an attorney with Feiger Law representing the families of the 2 victims, he told me these charges were not nearly satisfactory.
The family is upset. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. It was an undercharging, and it's really frustrating, and it's really hurtful when it's done, when you're seeing preferential treatment for not only an officer but a white officer.
Harrington says that when a similar crash occurred in Warren earlier in the year, the charges were far more intense for the suspect, who was not a police officer.
He was an African-American male driving and killed somebody and was charged with second-degree murder, and he was given $1 million bond. And here we have a white officer who was driving, breaking the law, going nearly 100 miles an hour without overhead lights and sirens activated, and killed 2 people and didn't get charged with second-degree murder.
Burke, who had been with the Warren Police Department for nearly 3 years, received a $100,000 personal recognizance bond.
For people that say that the justice system is flawed, heavily flawed, and that there is a lens that needs to be placed on it due to the injustice that and the disparities between white people and black people. This case right here proves their point. It puts everything right here boldly out in front of you. He said a black dude, not an officer of the law, because as an officer of the law, you have a sworn duty to uphold and protect the community. It's your job to actually protect, not to endanger, not to kill, to protect. You swore an oath. So I hold officers to a higher standard than I do ordinary citizens. And that ordinary citizen was a black man that he said ended up committing vehicular manslaughter, and they gave him a $100 million bond. Yet the officer gets a $100,000 bond. And he killed 2 people as an officer of the law. So, I mean, if you don't need to look any further, right? I don't need to drive this point home and go crazy on that topic. Just to show you how bad this accident was, look at this cruiser. That's his car. Let me show you the car he ran into, the white Durango. That's the Durango. That's the Durango that the 2 men were inside. The 2 young men were inside of. That both lost their lives. Totaled, completely and utterly destroyed. Can you imagine driving and just making a turn and all of a sudden, we're going to get to the footage. We're going to get to the footage so y'all can actually see.
Our news here at 5, a Warren police officer now charged in connection with a deadly high-speed crash, killing 2 men. Thank you for joining us. I'm Simon Shaquette.
And I'm Whitney Burney. That crash happening back on September 30th. Nearly 2 months later, prosecutors are now charging the officer who was behind the wheel of that Warren police vehicle.
7 News Detroit reporter Tierra Braddock joining us live from Warren. And Tierra, what charges is that officer now facing?
Well, Simon, Officer James Burke has been charged with manslaughter with a motor vehicle. That's a 15-year felony. He was also charged with moving violation causing serious harm and willful neglect of duty. The Macomb County Sheriff's Office says that around 5 a.m. on September 30th, Burke and another officer were in a marked police cruiser, and they were traveling southbound on Shaner at a high rate of speed. The police cruiser crashed into a white Durango, which DeJuan Pettis and Cedric Hayden Jr. were in. Pettis and Hayden both died as a result of the crash. Warren police say the officers were not in pursuit of the Durango or any other vehicle at the time of the crash. Both Pettis and Hayden's families have filed $100 million lawsuits against Warren police. Last month, the 2 men's families spoke out about losing their loved ones.
For your cops to come and just take a precious soul like that and no answers, that's wrong.
I'm going to stand strong, and I'm going to get answers, and I'm not going to back down. Not with this one.
Now, Warren police did send us a statement about these charges, and it reads, of course, this officer is entitled to due process and is pursued innocent until proven guilty. That being said, police officers are subject to the same criminal code as the citizens we serve, and as such, the Warren Police Department acknowledges the prosecutor's decision.
And I think that's wrong. I think officers should be held to an even more higher standard, and they should be subject to even more harsh criminal codes than citizens are. They should be subjected to even more harsh conditions and harsh retaliations from the law, because you were sworn in. You swore an oath to protect. You took up this mantle. Nobody asked you to. Nobody asked you to be an officer. You chose it. So if you chose it, then I think that officers should be held to a much higher standard than ordinary citizens. Now I'm going to show you the video of the actual crash accident from 2 different angles.
Look at this photograph that we have. You can see in the corner, there are 2 photographs, and you can see in the corner where the police vehicle with the police equipment and the police service data. This isn't something that Feiger Law put up. This isn't something that the family put up. This is actual data from the police vehicle showing the speeds of 117 miles an hour. And I don't know if they're going to say that that's wrong, and I don't know if they're going to say that that's inaccurate, but every single person in this room should know that there is absolutely corroborating evidence, actually that I'm holding here that I'm not allowed to show you, that corroborates these exact speeds and corroborates the speeds of the illegal, the reckless, and dangerous conduct of former Officer Burke. So at this time, what I would like to do is I'd like to draw your attention to the monitor, and we will be showing with sound the marathon gas, and you'll see the police cruiser. Now hit pause real quick. Rewind it. Just so everybody should know, you're going to see a vehicle make a left-hand turn, and that was really only seconds away from receiving the exact same fate that these two young men did. If you could hit play, turn the volume up.
That was just seconds. About four or 5 seconds. That's the family reacting to the video, because what you could hear in the background, I wish I could rewind this. Actually, you know what? I'm going to play it again so that you can hear, we can pick up the audio of the actual crash that happened seconds after they missed that first car that turned in.
Just so everybody should know, you're going to see a vehicle make a left-hand turn, and that was really only seconds away from receiving the exact same fate that these two young men did. If you could hit play, turn the volume up. The video you just saw was the marathon video, and if you listened at the end, you could hear the collision. You've all been provided with video, and it's yours to air and to use. Can we see the next video, which is the dash cam video, please?
Sheesh.
It's important for you to know that when watching that, in the top left corner, we see the speeds of the vehicle driving for as long as this officer did at such an illegal rate and killed these two men.
Wow.
Next, please. Look at this photograph that we have.
There's nothing else to be said. That was one of the most horrific accidents that I think I've ever seen. Caught on camera at that, from several different views, several different angles. There's not even a question of whether or not this officer is guilty. The only question is how much these families are going to get from their $100 million lawsuits that they have filed, and no amount of money is going to bring back either one of these gentlemen. And unfortunately, their families are going to have to go on and deal with the aftermath of this horrific event. Let me just say this, because I felt this once I watched this, once I saw this pop up on my timeline. I just feel like it's more important now more than ever that y'all just spend time with your family. Spend time with your family doing the things that y'all love. Love on your family, love on your spouse, love on your wife, love on your husband, love on your children, and just spend all the time in the world that you can with them, because you just never know. You just never know when you're done. You never know, especially today. You just don't know. So take that time, make those phone calls. You've been neglecting, putting off calling auntie, calling uncle, calling, your daughters, calling your kids, calling your father, calling your mom. Don't do it. Just take that time. It's only going to take a couple minutes. But anyway, I just wanted to show the actual evidence that this lawyer has presented. This is an open and shut case, in my opinion. The only question is, how much time is this officer going to get? I think that he should not be allowed to walk around, me personally, with the Commonwealth ever again, because you destroyed 2 lives, and as a result, you also destroyed 2 families. Those gentlemen will never breathe air again, and it's your fault. Anyway, drop a comment down below. I'll holler at y'all in the next one.